Thanks for staying with us. Controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has faulted Nigerian politicians for hiring private jets to attend the wedding of President Muhammed Buhari's son, Yusuf Buhari, on Friday, while hundreds of school children are languishing in kidnappers' den. What are your thoughts on this? Join the conversation by calling us on 081-270-53687, or you could call us on 091-390-76948. So, they counted. Some people said it was 100. Then they came out to clarify that it wasn't 100, only 50 private jets. Really? Was used to convey VIPs and dignitaries to the wedding of the president. Now, social media, the wedding of the president's son. The wedding of the president's son. So, the social media, a lot of people on social media agree with Sheikh Gumi, and some are wondering, what's the problem? It's wedding. If the president's son is getting married, what do you expect should be the case? Nyma, where do you stand?
With Sheikh Gumi.
Me too.
The first time, Sheikh Gumi is making, he's made a lot of outrageous statements in the past, but this one, I think this is the rational, most reasonable thing he said in a while. But personally, expect leadership, but I don't see it in most of these our political elites. There's so much selfishness, so much disconnect, so much nonchalance to whatever the situation is. So I had to go out over the weekend. The past week after my birthday, you know what I do for my birthday? I've had to deal with families whose father and mothers are displaced. Somebody's father is still in detention. The mother has to be in the hospital. We are supposed to be representing her pro bono, and we still have to raise hospital money for her. You know, a lot of real Nigerian issues. And then when you see this affluence, these people sort of assume that because you're popular, you are in their circle. It's not the same. It's from my widow's mite that I have to do what I do. And when you see them now, throw parties. In Islamic marriages, it is said that you must do a party that every class of society is invited. In this party, there were bouncers. The real people. So, Obi Cubana, who were criticizing for having a lavish party, even had a more Islamically compliant party, even though it was a burial, compared to the wedding of the president, who's supposed to be a Muslim. That's the way I see it. Because at Obi Cubana's mother's burial, the poor could feed. People were allowed some form of limited attendance. So even around the kitchen, you had people who were poor who could eat. But this wedding, if you say 50... It
was for the big boys.
The creme de la creme of society. The big boys, those who were feeding, who are around power, those who need contracts, did whatever they needed to do to show up. So a private jet, according to the calculations in the paper this morning, I think Daily Trust, a private jet cost at least $5,000 per hour. And that wedding was a full-day event. So even if the private jet landed at the airport in Kano, he had to park and wait for the person that hired it for a number of hours. So let's just estimate at $500 naira to $1 the amount. Now, that is not even painful. What is most painful is what insecurity has brought upon us. So the big man could do a lavish wedding. The poor man will still be able to find his feet. But where we are now, I pray the dollar doesn't get to 1,000 naira to a dollar. 1,000 naira to $1 now. Because we are totally unable to generate even raw materials that we used to export. So we never exported finished products. It was almost impossible for us to have any complex product exported. But we could export raw materials, ori, cocoa, some people would export yams, even, But because of insecurity, nobody is in the farm. We have elders
so for you, working. There are more complex issues and
on taken care of by you. Going on. And if you had deep thinking, you will say, okay, because I've failed in these areas, let me just do my thing closely. Keep quiet.
But the president's son wants to get married. Is there any way you believe, Mariam, you're from the north, could it have been done in a better way? Is there any way they could have done this wedding right? or should the boy carry the punishment for being in Nigerian and being the son of the president and not be able to do his wedding the way he would have done it if his father wasn't the president?
Did he fund it?
Because if the son can enjoy the privileges of his father's office, in some ways, he will also endure the responsibilities that may come in a time of strife. The truth is that the way it was done was very insensitive. And Sheikh Gumi is right. You cannot have people languishing in pain. Children in forests, we are counting 46 days for some, 100 and something days for others. You know, you can't have that sort of situation. And then in that same space, be throwing lavish parties. There's a way, and then you're even talking about the North. The North is usually known for its modesty. Even when they have so much, there's this modesty they would always strive for. But things have just changed. Everybody just do anyhow. I feel like it's like when you're in government or when you're in a place of authority, you are now, it's like you're watching Nigeria from the TV. Like it's a reality show to them. Yeah, like, oh, wow, is this what's happening to Nigerians? Whoa, and then they turn it off and go back to their life. Yes, it is. This was so insensitive. You know, many times we've said that this administration would have used body language or somehow to send a message. Not everything has to be the military on ground, the police on ground. Sometimes just your body language will do so much. If that wedding was done in such a way to show modesty, and then the president or the presidency says, we're doing it this way, we're sorry, we cannot even have everyone invited, or this is strictly a family affair, because we cannot be doing this in the face of what's happening. Do you know the respect? Now, the people in the bushes, the kidnappers are saying, oh, your government is saying we're not paying for ransom, Abi, but you can pay for this. All right, let's see. They will now come back to the table. It's just wrong in so many ways. I'm sorry for the bride and groom, but that is the situation that you have found yourself. If you're in America now, you would have even thrown a bigger party. But in Nigeria, it has to show in everything that we do that what we are going through is touching each and every one of us. We cannot separate it. Then the next morning, you now come and say, sorry, Nigerians, things are tough, we're doing our best. Are you really? Even as family members, yes.
So the question is, this sort of like creates a sense of hypocrisy.
Yes.
Yes. So it's a political hypocrisy in you increasing the levies, bringing tolls back, saying that we don't have enough money. It's like hypocrisy and it's painful for Nigerians to watch the lavishness when they are suffering.
It is the height
of languishing.
Deception. It's totally separate, unrelated to the toll.
No, I'm just talking about general hardship coming on people's lives.
I understand.
And the reason for toll is for money.
But the deception for me, so I remember the first FEC meeting, or I think one meeting that happened during the first term, and there were basic...
I remember that picture.
Frizzy drinks on the table, basic bottled waters on the table, and we just stay here. We're just happy that finally sanity has come.
Yes.
We're unprepared for this kind of lavish, this kind of extravagance, not lavishness. Too much. This too much is what we're not prepared for. So the president's son is the president's son. But we have the Delta variant, that the president has a body that he puts someone to head, that they are shouting, take care, wear your face mask. No, you know.
Without fear of favor.
We know we've only vaccinated about how many % of our population?
2%.
Less than 2%.
Less than 2%. And then we have this party guaranteeing us that everybody in attendance had been vaccinated, or you're guaranteeing us that, you know, everybody there did not enjoy that. This wedding is not it wasn't a day affair. It wasn't on Friday alone. The luncheon was still, I think, yesterday. So it was an entire week event of monies. The bride had already done her pre-wedding party with the frozen Disney theme and all of those things. So much happening. You could have shortened it. The queen had her husband buried in this period, and we saw the way royalty known for extravagance and lavishness and glamour, reduced everything deliberately to show the people that we're in touch with you.
Yes.
Or we're saying with our actions what we say with our
The thing is, the questioning of the responsibility of our leaders in this time and their insensitivity
and the people around them, the political class, just encouraging the lavishness.
We're touching hypocrisy, we're touching insensitivity, we're touching we're touching how Nigerians are feeling right now.
Yes.
And the fact that we're still in a pandemic and everybody is asked to be careful.
Sure.
And we'll talk more about all of this. But more importantly, we want to hear from you when we return from the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing the controversial reactions to the president's son's wedding, lavish 3-day affair. One of the issues that was raised is the fact that there seemed to be no obvious COVID compliance, despite the fact that we have the Delta variant and we're still in the pandemic and we're recording more deaths. There was also the issue of the fact that there is an obvious disconnect between our political class and the reality of many Nigerians, when in actual fact, they should be the one bearing what they should be more empathetic and sympathetic to the desires of Nigerians. And most of us will just want good food. We just want access to healthcare. But now we're having a lavish party when doctors are on strike, food cost has gone up, complaints back and forth from everyone. Then there was the case of, this one was on a lighter note, we saw a video of the dancing and the fact that in an Isba, we did not see any form of... Isba was suspended.
Holiday.
Yes, Isba was on suspended. They just took a break because the dancing and the groove and those young girls, those beautiful Hausa girls were enjoying themselves to the fullest. So here we are. The average Nigerian is wondering how to spread the 1,000 naira to buy and cook a pot of soup. And then we see this. But we have a caller. Bash has called in. Let me hear Bash's contribution to this conversation. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Bash.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're live, Bash.
Okay. Just a simple contribution. I think our people, those in government, they know what they are doing. And for one, they never pretended that they don't know what they are doing. It's just we that we don't want to appreciate that they know what they are doing. And they continue to do it forever. It's just for us to know what to do to counter all this their pretense. They never pretended for one. They don't have our love or interest at heart. That's why they can all gather together and be doing anything they like. They don't even have respect for our feeling.
Bash, what do you mean by they know what they are doing? Mr. Bash, please, what do you mean by they know what they are doing? Because
they know that they don't have our interest at heart.
Oh.
If they know if they have our interest at heart, healthcare, everything, they will probably do the needful.
Okay, Bash. There was also the part of Fani Kayode and the picture of the jovial Fani Kayode, and all these are we put all these matters on our head. People on social media. You see one person tweet and quarrel with another person, and then you now go into full-fledged war, young people killing themselves, reprisal attacks, and then the people that are your leaders that are inciting the violence. When there is a party, everybody takes a selfie together, they eat, they judge and what they forget the fact that you should be aware that the concern is not about their political affiliations. It's not about APC, PDP, North, South, East, West. Everybody gathered together, took private jets from all parts of Nigeria to go and attend this wedding. There was no political divide. It was just a case of we're celebrating with the president. And we tend to be the one to fight behind the scene. Mariam, I liked your explanation of, it seems like our leaders are watching us on TV. Like they watch Nigerians on TV and they're like, is it true? Then they switch off the TV and continue with their life. And it's just sad. It's just
There's
sad.
a part of the Isba for me. So, when the bride of Yusuf had done her pre-wedding Disney-themed party, there was this part where she did not wear the hijab. Some of the parts of the dress was transparent. And we're reviewing it, myself and my friends, and it was like, Isba is for religious policing of the poor.
Yes.
Because she's Kanu, full-blood royal Kanu. Isba is policing the whole of Kanu. But they dare not.
Sentencing people to cut their hands, sentencing people to life imprisonment.
Yes. Arranging marriages for people compulsorily without providing social welfare for them, thinking that solves a problem. Isba telling people not to run their businesses with mannequin because it's sort of,
and then suddenly Isba is suspended.
Isba goes on break every time a big man. I'm sort of beginning to think that, well,
Let me take this call from Omolara from Abuja. Omolara has called all the way from Abuja. Good morning, Omolara. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. On the topic, this is just to show us that our politicians and the people in government don't have the interest of Nigerian at hand. They are just what I would call scammers. They know what we want, and they will just flash it for us like this, make us believe, oh, we feel your face, and they will go the other way around to do what they want to do. And this makes me flash back to when the issue of Emir of Kanu and having this creating another emirate under Kanu. Everybody was saying like, we don't know that it is, to me, I just calculated that maybe it's because the president-in-law. So they have to make him a first-class emir. So they want these people from being a politician, they want to merge with royalty.
That's some conspiracy.
That's deep. You understand? That is my own thought.
Makes
because
sense.
for no just reason, culture does change. And the next 2 years, we find out that our president's son is marrying into this family. We are not daft. We understand things.
Omolara, how do you feel about this wedding, though? Like, I want people to just express themselves, because we're seeing many Nigerians tend to complain about things, but like, this is a platform. What was your first reaction when you saw the wedding? What was your thought? Because Nyma said it was wrong. You said it was insensitive, and a combination of hypocrisy, and then they will now have this kind of conspiracy theories of all the other things that are congestions that are now coming together. And I'm wondering that is this the right time? Because we still have a lot of too many children who don't have access to this lavish and this wealth being kidnapped. And there's a refusal to pay ransom because the government does not want to profit kidnappers. But those kidnappers are saying that you have money.
Yeah. And, it was here we talked about Obi Cubana, and we're appealing to very wealthy Nigerians who make their own hard-earned money. We're begging them on how, and sort of almost advising on how to spend their money. Now we have people in government who are spending taxpayers' monies. People were quite upset when we had that conversation of like, how can you tell a man who makes his own money how to spend his money? Meanwhile, look at your leaders and that's it. That is what it always comes to. And that's why there may seem to never be any headway, because those who are supposed to be the guardians of how things should be done don't even know how to do it. They fall our hand. How do you... Okay, now, all these monies that the politicians spent in getting the private jets and things like that. So we're not talking of those millionaires and billionaires who have earned their money and are able to afford their... We're talking of those that, because of the position that the political office that they hold, is giving them access to some funds. How are they going to now explain to Nigerians, when doctors are sitting at the table and say, we need our money paid, what are they going to say to them then?
That we don't have
when money. Nurses and, when children are in classrooms that are dilapidated and run down, what do you say to them then?
But Maya, on the flip side, they could say that they didn't spend government money to fly the private jets down there. They could say it was a gift that somebody volunteered to...
Is that the best way? But during Cubana's own too, we say, is that the best way to spend this money at a time like this, in a country like this? This is the country that we live in. We do not have another country. We cannot keep pretending we don't know what is happening. All we're saying is that this is a time to make sacrifices. That's all. We understand the need for to have luxury and enjoy all the things that money can buy if you have it. But we're saying that when we live in a space like this, at a time like this, there are things that we can do to ameliorate the sufferings and the pains, and it affects us in the end. Your administration will be better for it. Your children will be better for it. Your future, your legacy will be better for it. Let's remember, we still have cholera outbreak as well. Like, there are many things that are issued.
We'll take more comments when we come back. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll take comments on Facebook, comments on YouTube, as well as more phone calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we've been discussing President Muhammed Buhari's son's wedding, which was a lavish affair. where we had 50 private jets, and Sheikh Gumi's comment as speaking against it, that it was insensitive, while we have so many children that have been kidnapped, languishing in the kidnappers' den, with the government saying they are unwilling to pay ransoms, and we still have this lavish expenditure and just in your face in a way that shows hypocrisy. Like we don't, it doesn't like it's like I don't care how people feel. I don't care what you're complaining about. This is our life.
We are the chosen
and
ones.
we're going to live our life the way we want to. We're not going to make sacrifices because Nigerians are suffering. It's not a cost to be a Nigerian.
So nobody went to social media when Dangote's daughter married.
No.
Yes, and even though his father is politically connected because of his exposure, nobody shouted because they know the father's source. But we will shout because when the president is in London, we know that they will collect extra money. They will go and get loan to execute our budget for the next year. Ojefwe Josephine on Facebook says, the wedding was a carnival. Oh, royalty was in display. Oh, God help us. Well, if not for COVID-19, insecurity, hunger and others, we are not expecting less from the president's son's wedding. Yes. Moreover, a young boy and a young girl, then they marry. Their parents have the wealth to make their dream wedding. So it makes sense. Cool Emi says, every policy is proposed or enacted so far are geared towards oppressing the ordinary Nigerian. Period. I don't know why we keep expecting a leopard to change its skin. These criminals will throw the country into deeper economic woes. Until when death penalty is enacted for corruption charged public officials, Nigeria is not going anywhere than backwards.
Let's quickly take Hassan from Lekki. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nyma.
Good morning, Hassan.
Look, let me tell you one thing. We are in white hand. We voted for people because we wanted a change. But what we are seeing contrary. That's number one. Number two, I would like to talk about the tolling and the export, as mentioned in your newspaper review.
Hassan?
Oh, we lost the call.
Well, let's talk about FAN.
We want to talk about FAN, but I think FAN is something we would like to discuss more probably as a more hot topic or let's talk and bring in officials from the authority as well as the pensioners.
So Christiana Joseph Gani says, the truth is all our leaders have same interest, which is self. If they don't destroy the selfish in them, how can they care for the masses? A lot of people, their tweets, their messages are on the sufferings of the people, you know, and commending the ladies for taking the topic.
Let's talk about Olawale, who called from Ikorodu, then we'll come to you, Maria.
Okay.
Olawale, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Okay, good morning, Tope.
Good morning.
Yeah, what happened at the President Muhammed Buhari's son's wedding was simply a display of rascality on the part of the politicians. Let me tell you, over 60% of Nigerians are living below poverty line. Okay? Then some people wake up every morning to a situation of hopelessness. They have nothing to eat. Yes, some people can afford to charter 50 private jets to a wedding. And did you see that video where the driver conveyed the friend of Yusuf Buhari, and he was able to collect over 500,000 naira. And those children of the rich and the powerful, they were spending dollars. And those are your politicians. They don't care about you because they rig themselves into power, and God will judge them. God bless you.
Wow, that's some
so that's a good point. So there was a bus conveying the friends of the groom to the wedding, but that bus was not available to convey the big men to the wedding. They had to hire private jets. It wasn't as if there was no peaceful passage to the venue of the wedding for anybody. These are people who ordinarily, when they move around the country, have their own convoy of security men, detail, and all of that, funded by taxpayers' money. But you still had to.
We need to
take
confirm
it extra.
if it is funded by taxpayers' money.
I mean the security.
What they would normally get.
Yes.
All of them, appointees of government, elected office holders, when they move around, it is our taxpayers' money that they pay these police officers with. Any one of them who says it's not, should please show me how his business, the industry he opened, is funding that lifestyle.
I know that, we're talking here from part of Nigeria point of view. And somehow it may look like, because we normally get this, oh, they're hating on them. Because your own father is not a president, or your own is not a royal family. Yeah, wait until your father is a president and see how you would behave. And the truth is that let us have these conversations now so that when you are president and when your father is president, you will do it differently. We want for people to have, we tune the TV on and we watch in the UK where the prince is getting married to, the princesses. We love to see the culture. We love to see the coronation during the weekend. So this is something we're happy about. We're happy about the union. All we're saying is that there's a way to do it when you come from a country like ours. When you come from a country like ours at such a time as this, where we're constantly talking about how economically we're struggling. And for the, you mentioned the friends of the bride dancing to the music. A lot of people were shocked. They're like, they're dancing to Naira Marley. Okay, so there were two things, which is, so like if you come from the north, there's some of the things that, yes, there are expectations. There's the way you carry yourself. There's some things that you don't listen to or you do. But obviously, I think that's a conversation we need to have, that things are changing. Influences everywhere. People are listening to all kinds of music. And then maybe also, I don't want to talk too much on the Hizbah because I'm not a Muslim. Okay. But then in what way would you modernize how Hizbah polices people in Kano State?
Yeah, we need to talk more on that because there are some severe punishments that we've seen being meted out by Hizbah, and then we don't see them being meted out to the high and mighty, the wealthy, influential people as well. And the law has to be balanced and fair to everybody. But let's take this call from John. Oh, we've lost the call. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we can't really talk about this sufficiently enough, but the reason is not to hate on the political leaders. Like, if we don't hate them, the effectiveness of our politicians would bring success to Nigerians. If they do well, we will do well. If they lead us right, we will flourish. And they would also flourish. And we don't want to bash them just for bashing's sake. We want to make them know that when they do right, we would applaud them. And when they do wrong, we would caution them. This is a cautionable activity. And if we don't say it, it is wrong of us. So we're calling our leaders to be more sensitive to the plight of Nigerians at this moment. And this kind of activity shouldn't take place, even if you can afford it next time. Thank you so much for all your contribution online and for those that called into the show. When we return, we're going to Let's Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.